Imagine finding this really powerful literary voice, someone deeply connected to rural India, whose work just speaks volumes about, well, the human condition.
Yeah.
Today, we're doing a deep dive into Anilchandra Thakur. He lived from 1954 to 2007, and he was a really significant figure in both Hindi and Maithili literature. His writing still resonates, you know?
Absolutely. And our goal today, I think, is to go a bit deeper than just listing his books. We want to get to the heart of his contribution, the themes he tackled, his amazing ability to write in several languages, and the kind of impact he's left on Indian literature.
Right.
We'll be looking at his life story, analyses of his work, and there's even a song link that might give us another perspective on him.
And you really can't understand Thakur without understanding where he came from, Sameli village in the Kaidahar district of Bihar. It seems like that place just profoundly shaped everything he wrote.
Totally. He got his master's in Hindi literature back in '82, but you feel like his real education, the stuff that fueled his writing, came from his direct experiences there. And he really honed in on the struggles of, the marginalized communities in rural India after independence, that exploitation by landlords, by moneylenders. He gave voice to people who often didn't have one.
Yeah, giving voice to the voiceless. It's powerful stuff. What always strikes me, though, is his multilingualism. Hindi, Maithili, but also Anjika and even English. What was behind that, do you think? Just reaching more people? Or something else?
Well, it's probably a mix of things, right? I mean, reaching different audiences in India with all its linguistic diversity, that's surely part of it.
Sure.
But it also let him perhaps tap into the unique sort of cultural vibes and expressive tools of each language. It makes the storytelling richer somehow.
And his work in Anjika, that epic poem Kak from 1975, that sounds foundational, like the first major poetic work in the language. That's huge.
Oh, it was a landmark moment for Anjika, definitely. Kap wasn't just, a long poem. It tackled big themes, showed what the language could do poetically. It helped cement Anjika's literary identity, really inspired others.
And Anjika isn't a minor language either, right?
Not at all. You're talking about, 15 million speakers across parts of Bihar, Jharkhand, Nepal. And it's actually the second official language in Jharkhand. So Carr gave this whole community a kind of literary anchor point.
Okay, moving on to his Hindi works. The novel Ek Ghar Sadak Par, A House by the Road from '82, that one really paints a picture of the socioeconomic grind in rural life, doesn't it?
It does. And what's compelling is how raw and human it is. It doesn't romanticize the poverty or the struggle, but it also shows the dignity of the people living through it. And then just before that, '81, the Hindi play, Ek Aur Ram, Another Ram. The title itself makes you pause. Reworking the Ramayana.
Exactly. It makes you wonder, was he trying to put a modern spin on those ancient themes? Duty, justice, maybe asking how they fit into modern India, or offering, a different viewpoint on those characters.
I think that's spot on. Ek Aur Ram really invites that kind of reflection. How do these epic stories resonate, or how should we reinterpret them in a nation still finding its feet post-independence?
Right.
And we shouldn't forget his Hindi short stories either. The collection published after his death, Anat Kahan Sukh Pave, Where Does the Orphan Find Happiness, from 2007, shows his range in prose, too.
He also made quite a splash in Maithili, didn't he? With the novel Amani Jao, Now You Will Agree, also from 2007. That got a lot of critical acclaim.
It did, especially for how it portrayed a young woman fighting back against social pressures. It was launched by Sheila Dikshit in Delhi, which says something about its perceived importance. And it was even adapted for the stage by the National School of Drama for their big festival, the Harat Rang Mahotsav. That speaks volumes about its narrative power and those universal themes of fighting for your own path.
It's just amazing how he moved between these languages. And then there's the English novel, The Puppets, from 1990, the title alone. Control, autonomy. What was that about?
Well, The Puppets seems like him taking those themes, individuals versus controlling forces, the struggle for agency and exploring them maybe on a broader stage, possibly reaching an international audience. Its publication outside India suggests these core human anxieties he wrote about, they resonated widely.
So if you look across all this work, different languages, different forms, what are the big recurring ideas, the themes that kept drawing him back?
You see a real focus on human relationships, definitely, often set against these very stark social realities, family, sacrifice, mortality, that comes through so strongly in Hargai Papa, the father who lost.
Ah, yes, Hargai Papa. That one feels particularly important, almost semi-autobiographical, people say.
Yeah.
The main character, Kadi G, He's torn, isn't he, between his art, his village roots, and all this pressure from family and society to move to the city, Katihar, for the kids' future, IAT, IS, all that.
Exactly. It's that classic city versus village tension, but made so personal. Thakur paints the city for Kaviji as all smoke, noise, show-off, immorality.
Yeah.
And the village's peace, the kell song, the flute's tune. It's more than just geography. It's a clash of values, a whole way of life feeling threatened.
And the pressure on Kaviji is immense. His wife's arguments practically demands. Then you have people like Prem Kaka saying, think of the children. Even seeing his friend Vijay struggling in the city despite his son getting into IIT.
Right, and Vijay's mother, Kaviji's colleague Nahar, all these voices add to his inner conflict. They show the forces pulling people away from their roots. Plus, the village itself is changing, which adds to the push factor.
So eventually they decide he has to move. His father suggests using Panditji's empty house in Katihar.
Yeah, practical solution that seals the decision.
But that ending, it's heartbreaking. The kid's just saying, Papa Hargay, Papa lost. And Kaviji just accepts it. Hum beta main safmuch Hargaya. Yes, son, I truly lost it. It feels like more than just losing a battle about where to live.
Oh, much more. It's symbolic of losing his connection to his roots, his identity, maybe even his artistic soul. A whole way of life is just gone. It's a moment of deep resignation.
Even that detail where he throws a stone at the coal bird in the mango grove.
Yeah, the Amrai.
It's like this small, angry, futile gesture against everything changing. Shows his inner turmoil, his helplessness.
Precisely. It's a really powerful image.
And beyond the writing, he had this whole other life too, an officer in the Kosi Regional Rural Bank. And he was involved editorially with Suba, that handwritten magazine in the early 90s.
That's right, 93, 94. It really shows his dedication to fostering a local literary scene, giving other writers a platform. Imagine a handwritten magazine. That takes commitment.
Definitely. And he kept writing even while battling brain cancer later in life. That shows incredible resilience.
It really does. An enduring passion.
And his wife, Poonam Thakur, she's played a huge role in keeping his legacy alive, hasn't she? Narrating the audiobook of Hargai Papa, that must have been incredibly moving for her.
I imagine so. And that poem, Yad Memory, the one he wrote for her when he was working away and couldn't get back easily, it's such a tender insight.
Yeah, those lines you mentioned. Mero utariya laraya, tera ancha laraya hoga, meri ankain fadak rahin, tumko siharan aya hoga. My shawl fluttered. Your veil must have fluttered. My eyes are twitching. You must have felt a shiver. It just captures that longing, that connection across distance.
Beautifully. And the fact that we can actually hear her singing it on that YouTube link, it keeps his voice, their story, very much alive. It's quite special.
It really is. And seeing the literary spark continue with his granddaughter, Achi Chandram, publishing a book at 9, Luna's Enchanted Birthday, that's a lovely continuation of the family tradition.
It certainly is. And, you know, when we think about Thakur, it's important to place him within that incredibly rich literary tradition of Bihar. You've got giants like Vidyapati, Dinkar, Renu.
Right.
He fits within that lineage, but he brings his own unique contributions. Definitely the multilingualism and that intense focus on marginalized voices.
Even the book covers tell a story. The puppet with the marionettes.
Yeah, controlled by hands from above.
And Ekar Sadak Par, with the rural scene, the man looking towards the village, they visually capture those core tensions in his work.
They really do. They act like little windows into his world.
So wrapping up this deep dive, Anilchandra Thakur really emerges as this compelling, vital voice, a multilingual writer who shone a light on overlooked communities in rural India, exploring these deep human themes that still hit home today.
Absolutely. His stories might be rooted in a specific time, a specific place in Bihar, but they touch on universal experiences, struggle, family, dignity, that I think you, the listener, can connect with even now.
Which leads to maybe a final thought for everyone listening. How do stories about what seem like ordinary lives, the kind Thakur wrote about, actually help us understand these bigger societal shifts and, well, the resilience of people?
And in a world that feels increasingly globalized, what unique perspectives does literature from regional languages like Maithili or Anjika or Hindi from that specific region offer us? What might we be missing if we don't engage with them? Something to chew on, perhaps, and maybe even inspire you to seek out Anilchandra Thakur's work yourself.